Okay, so it's Telltale Tuesday. I'm not usually good at reading, and I'm sorry if my voice is a little craggy. I have a problem with my voice. So, what I'm going to do today is read to you from Baked with Love, my newest edition in the Match Made in Heaven book series. It's a friends to lovers romance, and right now, the scene I'm going to read, Maureen, the heroine, and Lucas, the hero, have just come back from tuxedo shopping for him because he's going to be in her sister's wedding and he needs a tuxedo. During lunch, they were discussing him when he went to prom, and they were making his teenage son laugh. So this is the scene in her kitchen after that. And I'm sorry that I'm sideways here. It's a little difficult to do this. I'm not used to making videos. Okay, so this is in Maureen's point of view. So she's speaking. Lucas squinted down at me, and my knees got all kinds of wobbly. "You're not the only one around here who remembers proms gone by, you know," he said. "What does that mean?" He took a step closer, and I swear my body temperature went up a good 10 degrees from sharing his natural heat. "I have a vivid memory of you at 17, wearing an extremely revealing dress, resembling a slip more than a prom gown. A flash of the dress in question crossed the front of my mind. At least it wasn't a velvet tuxedo." He ignored the jibe. "I'd stopped by the house to speak to your sister, and you came down the stairs all ready to be picked up by your date. Tick Jones, so named because he was the most annoying boy in our class, and when anyone ever so much as glanced at him, he stuck like glue, happy to have a friend, even if they were a friend in his mind only. I'd agreed to go with him because he was the only boy who asked me. Eileen, of course, had gotten several requests." Lucas nodded. "You were wearing a pale purple dress with the thinnest of straps and a slit up the side almost to your ass. I told Kathy I was surprised your father was letting you out of the house in it. You didn't look anywhere near 17. I'd loved that dress the minute I saw it in a store in Concord. Eileen had as well. My sister was wearing the same dress, you know. Hers was pink. Did you complain about how inappropriate you thought hers was to Kathy, too?" He shook his head. "I never even noticed your sister. All I could see was you." His voice dropped on the last word, and a hot bullet of desire dropped along my insides. He cocked his head and asked, "Did Jones ever tell you what I said to him before you all left?" "Said? No. I didn't even know you'd spoken to him." Excuse me. "You went upstairs to grab your bag or something you'd forgotten. I cornered Jones and told him I remembered what it was like being a 17-year-old boy on prom night, sneaking liquor or beers around the back of the high school gym, maybe passing around a little weed. Some guys even have certain expectations of how the evening is going to end. The expense of the tux rental, the limo, the corsage, it puts ideas into their head that's cause, maybe even justification, for some kind of payback from their date." I knew exactly what kind of payback he was referring to. "Oh, good Lord, tell me you didn't." His eyes went to half-mast, his lips curling at the corners in a predatory smirk. "Oh, I did. And I added, if he didn't return you to your house on time for the curfew your parents set, looking and smelling exactly the way you had when you left with him, he was going to answer to me come morning." Why I wasn't angry at this Neanderthal behavior surprised me, because I should have been. Lucas had been almost 26 then and already completed 2 tours in the Army, married Nora, and Robert was on the way. He was miles ahead of the boys in my high school in world experience. As a man now of the world, he'd felt it was his duty to protect someone he regarded as a little sister. I couldn't be mad at him, but it did, however, explain certain things on prom night that I'd mulled over afterward, like how Tick, whose real name was John Allen, had his eyes glued to his watch all night long. In the era before cell phones were as common as colds, we'd never known the time without one. Tick had checked his watch from the moment we arrived at the gym and had rechecked it every few minutes thereafter. He'd stayed, as his horrible name implied, stuck to my side the entire night. He hadn't even left me alone when I'd snuck off to the bathroom. He'd followed behind and waited for me at the door. He'd neither interacted nor spoke to anyone else at our table, including my sister, who could make an igneous rock talk back if she put her mind to it. When the dance ended, a few people stated they were driving up to Eagle Rock to have an after-party, drink, spend the night, and watch the sunrise. Tick had grabbed my hand and escorted me to the limo he'd rented. Eileen's date wanted to go with the throng, but even though she was a rebel in many ways, she never blatantly disobeyed an edict from my father and ditched the after-party idea, hopping into my limo. Her date had gone on with the others. Tick walked us both to the door, and after Eileen disappeared inside, I waited to see if he'd kiss me goodnight. He hadn't, tossing me a quick "thanks for going with me" over his shoulder while he ran back to the car. Monday, and for the rest of high school, he'd looked away whenever he saw me coming down the hallways. That poor boy, I shook my head. You put the fear of God into him for no reason. He was totally harmless. Oh, there were plenty of reasons, Maureen. Like I said, I remember what it was like being a 17-year-old. Raging hormones and sense of entitlement run rampant. Plus what? You just wanted to act like a big badass army ranger in front of a pitiful teenager? Assert your macho manliness? God, Lucas, I can't believe you. John Allen Jones was never a threat to me or any teenage girl. He was gay. Everyone knew it, but since he wasn't out yet, we left it unsaid. He had the grace to look slightly abashed. In a heartbeat, that changed. I didn't do it for the reasons you think I did, Maureen. Why then? Why torture a poor boy and make me feel even more inadequate, more lacking? What the hell are you talking about? Tick was the only boy to ask me to prom. Remember the conversation we had yesterday about me being the boring twin? Well, despite what you think, I was. Eileen had guys falling all over themselves to take her. I didn't. Just when it looked like I'd have to either go alone and be mortified at being dateless or stay home, John Allen asked me, "Do you have any idea how pathetic and unworthy I felt at 17? How I felt," I flapped my hands in the air, "less than my sister or any of my friends?" Maureen, no, Lucas, you had no right to say those things to him. I was more safe with John Allen Jones than I'd have been with any other boy in my class. It wasn't your responsibility to make sure I was. I wasn't your younger sister or a little girl or anything else you can dream up to justify needing your He-Man protection. I'm still not. The silence following my angry tirade was thunderous. My chest heaved, banging against my ribcage with every jagged breath I hauled in. The pulse at Lucas's neck visibly slammed against his skin with the rapid beat of his heart, our gazes locked and holding. I couldn't decide if he was angry and pissed off because I'd called him out on his overprotective, unnecessary behavior, or mad at himself at what he'd done. "No, you're not," he whispered darkly. "You're certainly not my sister, and you're not a little girl anymore. If you were, I couldn't do this." Before I could ask what he meant, he cupped my cheeks in his palms and tilted my head upward. With his hot gaze locked onto mine, I knew he meant to kiss me. Part of my brain screamed for him not to, arguing if he did, it would change everything between us. I couldn't allow this. I had to fight it. The other part commanded I shut the hell up and kiss him back like I'd been wanting to for a lifetime. Funny, that voice sounded an awful lot like Nanny's. My pulse drummed in my ears, my vision tunneled in on his mouth right before he touched his lips to mine. Lucas's kiss was everything I'd always fantasized it would be. Hard and commanding, yet silky smooth and seductive. Any protests the logical part of my brain continued to bellow, I simply disregarded. Powerless, the rush of emotion surging through me, I simply gave in to the kiss and let Lucas take control. It goes on, for the rest of the paragraphs to describe the kiss and then what happens to break them apart. But if you liked that, this is the book, Baked with Love by me, Peggy Jigger. And this book actually got a best book rating from Long and Short Reviews, which was like one of the top 10 events in my life when it happened. So if you like second chance love stories, small town love stories, friends to lovers love stories, family, all those fun things, this is the book for you. Baked with Love by moi, Peggy Jigger. Thanks a lot. I hope I didn't make you have a headache with my voice. Have a good day.